Lately, you've probably seen dozens of articles, both in the US and across Europe, reporting one alarming statement. Elon Musk predicts that a major war is inevitable within the next 5 to 10 years. Everywhere, from CNN to European outlets to tech forums, headlines keep repeating the same chilling idea. War is coming, a big one, possibly even nuclear. But why is Musk saying this? Why are several US think tanks echoing the same warnings? And what does the geopolitical data actually tell us? So today, we're diving into the world's most volatile flashpoints: Ukraine, NATO, Russia, China, Taiwan, India, Pakistan, Israel, Iran, and more, to understand whether the world is truly heading toward the most dangerous decade since World War II. Buckle up. This is going to be intense. Why are experts talking about a major war? Let's start with this. A major global conflict isn't predicted by astrologers or futurists. It's predicted by geopolitical analysts, military planners, US think tanks like RAND, CNAS, CSS, Hudson Institute, and economists who study national power. Their warning is simple. If current global trajectories continue, the 2020s will likely see a large-scale interstate war. This isn't fear-mongering, this is data. Let's break it down. Section 1. The multiple flashpoints pushing the world toward conflict. There are 5 major conflict zones right now: Russia versus NATO, China versus Taiwan and US-Japan involvement, India versus China, in the Himalayas and at sea, India versus Pakistan, Israel versus Iran. Any one of these could push the world into a wider war. Let's examine them one by one. Section 2. The Russia-NATO collision course. The war in Ukraine has already rewritten the global order. The US has pumped tens of billions of dollars into Ukraine. Europe is rapidly militarizing for the first time since World War II. Russia has completely reoriented its economy toward war. But recently, something even more dangerous has surfaced. NATO's leadership made a statement that shocked the world. If NATO believes Russia is preparing to launch an attack, NATO could authorize a preemptive strike. And within hours, Vladimir Putin responded with a chilling warning. If Europe wants war, Russia is ready. We don't want it, but if they start it, there will be no one left to negotiate with. This is not a normal diplomatic exchange. This is the rhetoric nations use only when they believe war is a real possibility. The US defense community already knows one thing: a NATO-Russia war will not stay conventional. Russia's doctrine explicitly states, if the state is threatened, nuclear weapons can be used early and decisively. This is why Elon Musk believes a nuclear confrontation is possible in this decade. And here's the scariest part. Europe itself doesn't know if the US will enter a direct fight. France, Germany, and the UK are preparing for both scenarios: a war with full US military involvement, a war largely fought by European forces. If America hesitates, both possibilities are already being simulated. Unless Russia collapses, Putin is removed, or an internal coup resets Moscow's strategy, the probability of a NATO-Russia conflict remains the highest among all global flashpoints. Section 3. China-Taiwan. Will it be a real war? US media often portrays this as the next big battlefield, but experts understand a nuance that most civilians don't. A China-Taiwan conflict only becomes a real war if the US and Japan intervene. Without Washington and Tokyo, China could surround Taiwan, block critical ports, blockade trade, cut undersea internet cables, apply overwhelming pressure, and take control without a full-scale invasion. In other words, it might not look like a classical war. It could be a slow strangulation, but US involvement changes everything. Japan has already declared, if Taiwan falls, Japan falls next. So for Tokyo, Taiwan is non-negotiable. Thus, if China attacks Taiwan, a US-Japan versus China war becomes extremely likely. That's why the White House openly states that America will defend Taiwan. This is the biggest potential war in the Indo-Pacific, but it's not the most immediate. That honor goes to Section 4, India-China, the next maritime flashpoint. This one is huge and not widely understood by American audiences. Most people think India-China conflict will happen in the Himalayas, but US think tanks see a very different scenario. On land, the war is already stalemated. Both nations have deployed heavy armor artillery drones, missiles, high-altitude infantry. This is where China is most vulnerable. Nearly 70% of China's oil passes through the Indian Ocean. India controls key choke points. China's navy is expanding aggressively. Submarines are everywhere. Military satellites are watching the region 24/7. The Center for New American Security, CNAS, published an important warning. If China cannot escalate on land, it may escalate at sea. Examples: a Chinese destroyer accidentally fires on an Indian submarine, a Chinese patrol ship sinks an Indian naval vessel, a misinterpreted sonar ping triggers hostilities, a submarine collision escalates into a retaliation strike. These incidents take seconds, not hours. This is why US simulations call an India-China maritime clash a high-probability event of the 2020s. Not a long war, but a sudden violent incident, a rapid naval engagement, a week-long standoff, a crisis with global economic consequences, and yes, the US may be dragged in indirectly due to strategic partnerships. Section 5. India-Pakistan, the oldest continuing risk. This one remains one of the world's most dangerous rivalries. Unlike India-China, geographical, historical, and strategic factors make India-Pakistan clashes far more unpredictable. Any of these triggers could spark a conflict: a terrorist attack, a political crisis, a miscalculation on the border, a militant infiltration incident, escalation across the line of control. When the window appears, meaning geopolitical conditions look favorable, Pakistan may try to provoke conflict. And this time, US analysts predict the Indian Navy will play a decisive role. Why? Because Pakistan's economy is weak. Their fuel supply lines are fragile. Naval blockades can cripple them. A short war is possible. A miscalculation is possible. A major escalation? Less likely, but not impossible. This remains one of the highest risk flashpoints. Section 6. Israel-Iran, the conflict most likely to happen first. Let's get straight to the point. If you ask, which war is the closest? Which conflict may erupt literally any month? The answer is Israel versus Iran. This isn't speculation. This is what Israeli officials, US intelligence, Middle East analysts, nuclear experts, defense observers are all saying. The New York Times, Times of Israel, and multiple top analysts agree. A major Israel-Iran war is not a question of if, but when. Iran continues, expanding enrichment facilities, supporting regional proxies, developing longer-range ballistic missiles, building drone fleets, deploying naval forces. Israel openly states, "We will not allow Iran to become a nuclear weapons state." That is a red line. And once a red line is crossed, war follows. This conflict could pull in the US, disrupt global oil supply, shut down the Strait of Hormuz, trigger regional instability, spike global inflation. In short, this may be the first major war of the 2020s. Section 7. Will any of these turn nuclear? Elon Musk thinks so. Some US analysts cautiously agree. Here's the harsh truth. Russia has the world's largest nuclear arsenal. China is rapidly expanding its arsenal. North Korea is building tactical nukes. Pakistan's tactical nukes remain a constant risk. Iran is approaching nuclear capability. Israel maintains a policy of nuclear ambiguity. One miscalculation, one false radar alert, one cyber attack on nuclear command systems, and things could escalate rapidly. Nuclear weapons have not prevented conflict. They've only prevented total war. But if a regional conflict spirals out of control, then yes, even nuclear use becomes possible, especially in limited tactical form. If that ever happens, global trade collapses overnight. Supply chains freeze, markets crash, international rules for nuclear non-proliferation will be rewritten. The world will transform instantly.